Saber. We're going to be talking about the play-in slate, the 2-gamer here. I know it's a lot of. I like to get into the playoffs when it's a lot of fun. I haven't really gotten into the play-in game. I'm not playing tonight, but I know Sheets will be firing, and I know he's going to be playing some showdowns as well. I do have some thoughts on the games. I'm going to be leaving in about 25 minutes or so. So that's why I partly am not going to be around to see anything. Not that there's going to be much news or anything to wait on. We have the big questionable was, not really that questionable, but Duncan Robinson is in. Technically, Drummond and Dosunmu are questionable. Be very surprised if they don't play. And with that, we have to try and figure out a way to get enough value to be able to put together a lineup, I guess.
Well, let's talk about something else for a second. So a couple of things about playoff basketball, and we haven't really talked about this yet. Couple of things is that pretty much every game is a must-win game, which means that all of the studs, all of the good players, all the guys that they think that they're going to want to play a lot, if they're even remotely healthy, they're going to play a lot. And you'll probably see minutes projections that you haven't seen before for some of these guys. They're probably all real. I remember those games wasn't too long ago where like LeBron would play 48 minutes, not anymore. Okay. But that, my point is that people could be playing ceiling minutes. The other thing, which is not as important for the play-in game, but certainly as we get into the series, is that when you're playing these series, these teams make adjustments and they figure out ways to attack other teams. And once they figure it out, you can expect a little more of that. You know what I mean? And so it's the like playoff DFS is really, I think, weighted to the people that, hashtag, no ball. Okay. People that can figure out what a team is likely to do to try to win a short series like this and be able to kind of manually or at least instinctively adjust their projections or just their play, whatever, to that. And Bobby's been really, really, really good at that over the years. Is like just figuring out whether a team is going to, oh, look at this, they're going to now be double teaming freaking Embiid every freaking possession, for example. That was last year, I think. I think that was the big narrative last year. And so you're going to have an advantage over, at least in that respect, over the people that are just straight simming and optimizing and stuff, based on the rest of the season. And so just stay with us for all the different, for all the live streams and all the whatever, because to see what Bobby thinks about how these series are going, and it's like by the time most people realize what changes teams have made, it's already been made, 4 games before that. And hopefully we're going to be on that kind of stuff a little earlier than most people. But with respect to like matches, for example, and we could certainly talk about this in context of this slate, like these two. Let's talk about the games, right? So these 2 games, like first of all, like who do you like? What do you think these games are going to look like?
I think I like Philadelphia and I like Chicago. I have more. Nothing Miami does in the postseason is ever going to surprise me. But I actually think Philadelphia makes a run in the playoffs too. I think that, no offense, I hope for your sake they don't, but I think that if they win this game tonight, they go and beat your Knicks. That's my prediction for Philly, and I think that they've got an excellent shot to be in the conference finals against Boston. I think they put their best foot forward tonight. Embiid's had enough games under him to where I think that his minutes are going to be right near 40, just like you'd expect in a game of this magnitude. And I think that in general on tonight's thing, I think you'd want to be focused a little more on Chicago, Atlanta, just because the pace is going to be better, even though it's still not going to be ideal. I would just prefer to go to that game, especially.
Well, what do you think Miami's going to try to do in this game? You think Miami can X Embiid out of this game to some degree, or no?
I mean, not fantasy. Like what's it? Embiid is projected at 57 fantasy points. I would be very surprised if Embiid has less than 60 fantasy points, but that's okay. It doesn't mean it's that far off. They're going to try, and Bam is, basically the best guy in the world to do it, other than Wemby. But I personally don't think it's, a doable thing. Like, we've watched this over and over again for a long time. We know how much they're going to focus on Embiid. I would make sure, if we had enough value, I would make sure to try to play one of Embiid or Maxey, but I don't think you're going to have that value. So it becomes a little bit tricky trying to guess the Philadelphia, trying to figure out what to do if you're not going to play one of those guys in this game. But no, I do not think that they will be able to shut down Embiid. I do think that they would, like, if this was a big slate, I would never even consider it because there'd be somebody else, would be a better play. But I don't think that at 11,000, he's still going to project as one of the best point per dollar plays, if nothing else. And I think Miami is going to, I think that best play on Miami, in my opinion, would be Jimmy Butler. We also know that it could be the Tyler Hero show. We've seen that plenty of times. But I like the Butler play. Always plays well in Philly. Not that it matters because it's a playoff game anyway. So he's, But that 8,700 price tag on Jimmy, we find, is very not worth it in the regular season for the most part, and extremely worth it in the postseason. Now, he does have some duds in there as well. But instead of saying I would definitely play one of Maxey or Embiid, I would say that I would have to play probably one of Butler, Bam, or Hero. Because I don't think Philadelphia is going to just win this game by 30 points. Now that I said it out loud, it's possible, but it's not what I'm taking.
Yeah, I was hoping you would tell me something that else. I was hoping you were going to say that they're just going to double team Embiid, so then we should just play all the other guys.
I think they'd be really smart not to do that, actually, and I think that they're going to be smart. I mean, they have the best straight up one-on-one defender at the position outside of, and anybody can at me about Rudy Gobert. Get out of here. Bam is, in my opinion, maybe you could say, no, I wouldn't even say Anthony Davis anymore. It's Wemby and Bam are the two best guys who have a chance to slow down at least a guy like Embiid. I don't think it's going to be enough to where I don't think they're going to need to double enough, because it's not like the rest of this. Like, this is the healthier than Sixers have been. Sixers have one of the best shooters in NBA in Buddy Hield, which we don't even know how many minutes he's going to get. He'd be the guy I might speculate with if you did think they were going to double. But I mean, you'll see some doubles from them. Don't get me wrong. But overall, I do expect more straight up play than you see most teams play with Embiid.
How many minutes, assuming the game is close or whatever, how many do you think Embiid can play? You think he could play 40 or no?
Yeah. I think if it's close, he could, because I think there's a huge difference between, look, you can lose this game if you're Philly and you still have a chance, but then you're playing Boston in the first round. You want to win this game if you're Philly and Miami really, really badly.
Right.
So I think you get the best effort from both.
Oh, wait. Why don't we go backwards again? So tell me what the situation is. Like, who needs to win? Who can afford a loss? How does it work?
Yeah, so Philly, Miami are playing for the 7th seed. The loser will play the winner of Atlanta, Chicago for the 8th seed.
And Atlanta, Chicago, losing, you go home.
Yes.
So that's like the ultimate must-win game. I mean, that's
except for both teams are terrible and they're going to go home anyway. I think they've sort of been.
Listen, I don't think they think of it that way. I think that they all think that they can win at this point.
I mean, they sat. I don't agree, because the Bulls decided to sit Zach LaVine out when he was perfectly capable of playing. So I actually don't think. I mean, I think they're going to try to win, but I don't think that they're going to try. I don't think anybody thinks they have it. I don't think Chicago or Atlanta is crazy enough to think they have a chance against Boston. I do think both Miami and Philadelphia think that.
Yeah. And Miami, all they do is make finals. So, I mean,
and all they do is beat Boston and Philly every time. And here I am picking Philly right off the bat.
They don't care what their seed is. They don't care anything. They just, they just make finals. That's it.
They don't mind that Bam and Hero and everybody's out except for Jimmy Butler and a bunch of guys who were seventh men on the bench.
Who do you think? Who do you think from at least the first game? And I agree with you. I think that you're supposed to, for a lot of reasons, attack the second game more. First of all, I do think that the must-win situation means something. Second of all, it's a later game, so you can screw around if you have to. And these are the two worst of the four teams as far as defense goes.
Yeah.
So the total is 15 points higher. So, I mean, for all of those reasons, some like Embiid with a whole bunch of guys from Atlanta, Chicago, for example. that could work. But from the Miami Philadelphia game, what do you make of any of the value there? Like I'm just throwing names like Kyle Lowry. You know, I'm just running builds right now.
Yeah.
So Tobias Harris. I mean, what aside from Embiid are you going to like from that game?
So actually, I actually probably wouldn't end up being able to get to Embiid tonight just because of the way the pricing is. I think it's just really hard to do. So I like I do like Maxey and Jimmy Butler, or Maxey and Tyler Hero would be my main plays from the first game. I would definitely take some shots on a low-owned Buddy Hield because I think it's speculative to know what his role is going to be. Now he could have almost like no role, but he could make a couple threes and they're down, and the next thing you know, he turns into the Larry Nance and basically all the guys who got all of the run after the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, and basically actually after the first 6 minutes of the first quarter too. So if Hield gets hot, he could easily take Kelly Oubre's job tonight. He could take Kyle Lowry's some of Kyle Lowry's minutes. Batum would be a little bit less of a thing. I think there's a chance Buddy Hield could be that get weird play. Now, I'm not saying it's like an incredibly likely or it's a great matchup, but it's just you don't have much to choose from. But like for example, like Jovic, who's projected to be 25% owned, and meanwhile you've got what's his name, Buddy Hield at the same price, or basically the same price, who's projected to be 5% owned. I think that you go that route and you play the guys who can get hot or turn things around. Trey Murphy and Larry Nance were the ones for New Orleans who brought him. Oh, and Alvarado. New Orleans, last night sheets to show you, and it wasn't even a must win. New Orleans sat McCollum, they sat Ingram, and they sat what's his name down the stretch. Well, Zion got hurt, but he was killing him. But they played all their bench guys instead because they were down by 20 or down by 18. And they came back and they just left the guys out there who brought them back. So that in that sort of thinking, I think that the best plays from the first game would be, or long shot plays would be Buddy Hield. Caleb Martin's not a long shot play, so he doesn't qualify. I think Jaime Jaquez is very thin, but there's an outside chance he could be that guy tonight. So these are the cheap ones. These are the ones who are low owned that I really like. Would be Jaquez and Hield, with the mainstays being Hero, Butler, and Lowry. I'm sorry, Hero, Butler, and Maxey. You guys, we don't look at revenge in the playoffs. We got to remember that. Maybe for like a game on the road when you're up 3-0, or I don't know. There's no such thing as revenge things in the playoffs. And by the way, everybody in a lot of these games you could make that case for, but I don't think you want to think about revenge games in the playoffs as if it matters that much.
Would you play so you talked about Oubre, Hield. Yeah, Hield I'm getting to. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just kind of force in some low owned stuff. But the good thing is, I mean, all these guys are not bad, the low owned guys I'm getting. Like you said, like Oubre, who did I just say? The guy you said, Hield.
Yeah,
if Hield could always get hot, I guess. Doesn't seem like the game environment, but whatever. It's a 2-game slate, like it's
right. No, it's just the 4,600 price tag, the potential heat check factor, and I'm sitting here talking to Power in the Discord because he's asking about what's with the Duncan Robinson's minutes limit. Now there was one, now there isn't. It doesn't even matter. Like Duncan Robinson is like a poorer version. He's further down the bench than Hield is. I mean, I have Duncan Robinson as their 9th highest minutes tonight, and I think there's an outside chance Duncan Robinson doesn't play at all. I think there's a chance he ends up playing 20 minutes. I really do. It's just hard to know in game 1 of a 1-of-1 exactly who's it going to be. Love, Jaquez, are they going to give Highsmith the same minutes? It really is up in the air. And we saw in Miami last year, the answer was different every single game. They just seem to find a little magic thing on it, their whole ride there. So yeah, maybe you do include Duncan Robinson in it, but I don't think I would be looking more at guys like Hield who are actually I think Hield has a better chance to play more minutes than Duncan Robinson, and he's cheaper.
So once again, so the winner of Miami Philly plays the Knicks,
Yeah.
and the loser plays the winner of Atlanta Chicago.
Yes.
For the 8-9 or whatever.
Yeah, for the eight seed. Yeah.
For the 8. Okay. Perfect. And that would play Boston.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep answering this. Anybody, I'll post my early builds. I'll post my stuff in Discord. We are not going to be showing lineups going out of our way to show you our lineups on the show. Even if we happen to do it and have some fun and do a build or Friday build and Sheets does that, wants to do it on FanDuel, fine. But in general, that is not what we're doing. So we're never going to just start saying, oh yeah, here's all my lineups, especially because we have people who are paying content, to see exactly what our exposures are and see what kind of stuff we're doing on the actual site. So I just can't show the lineups directly up here. So,
dude, I'll tell you this: owing to the real dedication to process over lineups over results. So one thing I didn't tell you about the MMA thing from last week. So last week, for those you don't know, I got like second in the big one, like a couple of strikes away from getting first, and it was all due to the lineup construction video I did, where I walked through the whole process of doing it. And one thing that I was doing in my process, I said I was going to do this, I was going to do this, I was going to do this, 50 from here, 50 from here. At no point did I even know who I had. I didn't check. I didn't double check. I didn't know what my exposures were. I didn't care. I had my process. It gave me what I wanted, and I literally didn't check who I had until the slate started. So I was just as ignorant as everybody else was as what my lineups were. With respect to process for this slate, and remember, it is a 2-game slate. So first thing is that don't worry about having 100 guys from each game from one team. Don't worry about playing 2 centers. Don't worry about any of that. The only question that you really want to ask is how you get different. Okay. And when I say that, are you going to get different by playing lower owned guys? And remember, it's basketball. So if they're all lower owned, they're probably not going to score as much. They might, but they probably won't. Or are you going to leave money on the table? And those are really the two, or both. You know what I mean?
Right. So
those are the two questions. Now, one thing I will say, by the way, is that I think if you really want to get different right off the bat, you'll just stack the crap out of the first game. You know what I mean? Hope it goes off somehow. Hope it goes to overtime, and it outscores the second one, because I don't think people are going to do that.
Yeah, and in that you probably want to guess at who that guy is going to be for Miami. Do you think it will be done? I mean, this is the thing. I think it's more likely to be Jaquez unless Duncan Robinson gets hot. But they have all these guys, and it's going to go towards one of them. I just don't know which one it's going to be right now. And I don't know if they know the answer, because they haven't had all these guys healthy most of the season. And we've seen different rotations. So
all right. Who do you like in the next game?
I like Chicago. I think they're the better basketball team. And the plays I'd be looking at tonight, I probably would skip the Trey DeJounte thing, even though there's nothing wrong with it. It's just they're both there now. DeJounte's price is if Trey wasn't there. Trey is priced sort of so close enough to where he always is, but with playoff stuff on it. I think that getting Bogdanovich, Garrison Matthews, you're going to have Garrison Matthews was probably going to be the highest owned player on the slate, and genuinely has I don't know if he has a DNP CD possibility, but he's got a 10-minute possibility. That's possible. So I'm sort of struggling with it, because I think you use that value. I think that getting a little bit of the like I mentioned, I like Hunter and Bogdanovich as mid-range plays, just because you kind of need mid-range to work today. And on the Bulls side, Vooch is going to be the mega chalk. I like Vooch a lot, but I like Vooch and DeRozan a lot. And then I think you're playing at least one of Kobe White and Alex Caruso or Dosunmu. And then if you wanted to go a little fringier, Javonte Green, and then you've got Andre Drummond, who's questionable. He would be my other super get weird low ownership play.
I think I agree with that. Listen, if Vooch is mega chalk, you really should play some Drummond.
Absolutely, especially as but the only thing is he legitimately may not play, so just make sure you keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And you lose. What can I tell you?
No, then you just play Bruno Fernando on the other side, I think that's probably the best route. But yeah, the lineups, and I'm building one right now just so I have like something out there. But I again, you're going to need a lot of this mid range, and or you're going to have to play the very, the Garrison Matthews is something like it's a strange situation where we have a guy who averages like 9 fantasy points and his minutes are going to be cut down, and he could play 30 minutes and score 3. I've seen that before, but you just don't have other 3,100 guys who are getting even in the mix tonight. So you kind of need the value at some places. So I expect both he and Caleb Martin will be really popular. Oh, Caleb Martin's the other one. He's going to keep down the ownership. He's another reason why Heald will be lower owned. Yeah, so maybe, that's my thing. I think I'm going to play Heald, try to force in 4 from the first game, and then try to use this fringier mid-range in the second game. Although I would really like to get to Vooch, but at his ownership, I don't mind pivoting and saying, you know what? I'll play Drummond or Fernando, and that'll be that.
Yeah. And with respect to with using the Sims and stuff, again, I will probably for both not for the alley-oop, but for the lottery, I'm gonna probably use the Geo-mean stuff and just play low-owned guys. I'm not gonna leave money on the table intentionally. I'm gonna try to play low-owned guys and see how it works out. I'll get some Drummond, get some nonsense. Maybe I don't even know how. Maybe some Batum or something like that. I don't know. Just stuff that could happen.
Right.
A lot of people playing. Actually, it's not that big of not that many people playing. But that's just what I'm doing. It's just in the 2 game. In the big buy-ins, I'm just gonna play the hashtag best plays, whatever. But I don't know. But I don't think I'm gonna get to Embiid either, Bobby. Like you said, it's just hard to do.
It's really hard to do without getting uncomfortable. And so I did build one lineup. And I just to say, like, I'm going to, I like the fringy 4K guys to take a shot on Drummond. And like I said, if Drummond's out, you can just flip over to Fernando. But I am taking, and I don't think that Buddy Hield is, I want to make this really clear because we're going to talk a lot of playoff stuff. And I'm going to say a lot of plays that are really fringy because you have to do that in some situations because there's no other value. And I just want to say, like, I do think that, like, there's a chance that Buddy Hield might, like, have, like, 5 fantasy points tonight. But you're telling me he's going to play 20 minutes no matter what, probably. If he's hot and the way the game goes a certain direction, that could become 28 minutes, and he can put up 45 in that time. Just if they decide to double Embiid, if Embiid's beating him up too. But there's a lot of ways it could go. So I like the idea of getting that low ownership on guys who can get hot, basically. And Trey Murphy is the best example ever from last night.
Yeah.
See what it can happen with that guy, if you get somebody who's hot. Yeah, Maxey is actually going to be, I think, more popular than Embiid. I know they're different prices. I will give that away, that the projections have Embiid, like the ones I trust the most, like Goldies, have him closer to 12%. Like SaberSim has him closer to 20 some odd percent. I think Maxey ends up significant. I think Maxey might end up being double or triple the ownership of Embiid for what it's worth. Now, Maxey is not off the board. Vucevic is not off the board. These are extremely chalky plays, which are totally fine. But I just want to remind everybody, that's not where you're not planting a flag on anything crazy there. You're just planting a flag on the chalk.
As far as Showdown, I'm just gonna. I did really well with it yesterday. Oh, I have a guy for you. Can I give you any Kevin Love tonight?
That's the other fringy one, but I don't think the reason why. See, I thought he was going to be a little bit more popular, but and also they're not going to put him out there at the 4 that much. So will they? Well, I guess will they put him on MB just to go weird? It's possible. I can get behind it. Sure.
Yeah. And listen, he's got experience, and it's must-win games. And I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you like what else of Atlanta? Do you like Trae Young?
It's the worst matchup for those 2 guys. So I actually am not. I'm not personally getting to the Trae DeJounte thing. If I did, it would be Trae, but I don't think I'd get to it.
So basically, you like Maxey more than those guys.
And I think I like Jimmy Butler better than those guys too.
Yeah.
Sanogo's not even playing.
Who?
He's not even active. The other backup center for the Bulls. He's not even active.
Yeah, but well, it's an interesting question. Is if Drummond is out, like who's the backup center?
It doesn't really. The problem is there isn't one. You just play one of the other guys at center. It'll be like it won't really be anybody. It'll be a combination of Torrey Craig and Javonte Green, and they'll just play small.
Okay. I guess that's it. I did put up the NBA projections. I'm gonna try to scramble to get the hockey ones up for whoever is interested in that, because I'm doing it myself anyway. And I guess that's pretty much it. I'm gonna do one more golf projection update. Little still, it's uncomfortable that might be playing so much of like Lucas Glover and or Siwoo Kim, but I'll take another look at it.
I think Lucas Glover especially, I think that's a really good play. People don't realize it. I mean, he had the harder path to come back at the Masters. What was he? He was 4 over through 5, and then he bounced. I mean, he really played good golf, I think, and he's really good at this stuff. He's just not long, so he fits the criteria.
Hey, both of those guys fit so well, the Siwoo Kim and the Lucas Glover. I mean,
the only thing with Siwoo is he tends to play better on Pete Dye courses, and this isn't right. At least unless I got to double check my research on that one.
Well, we did such a great job with the research on the cut line this week
we're talking about the cut line for 10 minutes, which doesn't exist.
We spent 15 minutes discussing who's the best guy to miss the cut. Well, I was correct. I said none of the 9K guys would miss it, right? So that's what
you had it figured out. Well, before I did.
But but what about the under? Not the under. The Scheffler Burns to miss the tournament prop or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's the one that's really, boy. I'm sure there's something out there. I might have to ask my buddies. All right, I'm gonna head take my kid to his work and then go visit my fam. Everything else good here?
Good. Sounds responsible.
Okay, man. Good luck tonight, buddy. Good luck, everybody, and let's enjoy the playoffs. Really excited for the real playoffs to start in a few days.